Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Hope you're doing well today. So let's see what we've got going. Let's jump over to our cosmic weather. So, a little recap before we do. So, purpose of cosmic weather is to make sure we're understanding what the weather or the energy coming from the cosmos is, because everything around us is energy. So if everything is around us is energy and we understand that, then the better we can use this energy, the more effective we can be. So the way we look at this is we look at the ways in which energy is coming towards us. We certainly know that with the space weather, with the wind, it's blowing it right at our direction. So there's one way. So we look at the cosmic weather, and then we're going to look at the astrology and tarot, and we kind of build from there. So that's the idea of the cosmic weather. So if you're just tuning in, that's a brief explanation. So spaceweather.com, solar wind. I mean, we're directly getting energy blown from outside of Earth. And so that's our first stop here. 298.6 kilometers per second is the solar wind. Planetary K index, this is a graph or scale that goes up to 9. 9 is the highest. 0 is the lowest. We're at a 1 today. Last week, we actually got up to a 7. So we had a flare that got that high. But we'll watch that. I haven't seen anything higher than a 7 yet. So we'll see. Hopefully there won't be. M-class flares. 5% chance we're going to have one of those, and only 1% chance an X-class flare. And geomagnetic storm activity, that's the kind of stuff like auroras that you see in the sky, the colors, maybe crazy sounds and things of that nature. Those are the different geomagnetic storm signs and activities that take place. And you can see there's really not much of anything going on. Usually the higher latitudes have a little bit higher rating than the mid-latitudes like they do. 5% jumps up to 15% because you're in a higher latitude, but not all that much higher. So nothing really going on there. And you can see it says here solar activity is very low, which is a good thing. Okay, and then of course we've got sunspots on the sun. They're labeled 1579 and 1582 are so large, sky watchers are noticing them without the assistance of a solar telescope. When the low-hanging sun is dimmed by clouds and haze, the two spots can be seen punctuating the sunset. Okay, and sunspots are areas where solar wind does blow off of the area. So the larger the sunspot, the larger area where the wind can blow off. And these sunspots are out there. They're larger than the Earth. So they're pretty good size. All right, let's move along from there to our astrology for the day. And I just zipped right by it. Let me just jump over again. I'd like to go over to the Moon Cat's astrology. Okay, here we go. Today we're right here. So the main things we look for, because there's all these other signs we can look for, all the little ways in which the conjunctions are moving, but the main things we're concerned with are two of them. One is the sun sign. It represents our conscious mind, and the other is the moon, which represents our unconscious mind. And our conscious and unconscious mind are always working together, trying to figure things out. So our conscious mind is reflective of the sun. The sun at the present time is in Libra. Libra is an air sign, so we're dealing with the element of air. Just think of being a cook, and you're going to deal with elements. You're going to deal with air as one element, and air is the element that's on the conscious mind. It's the most focused. So think about air. In the tarot cards, air is represented by the swords. If you take the word S away from swords, you're left with words. So air has to do with words, has to do with action. Air blows, it moves. So because of the moving nature of it, we see that it's not one of those signs that just sits still and does nothing. Air moves. So there's action implied in the idea of air. There's the words, there's communication. anything that you can think of where you take those things I just talked about, the words and the actions, and you can apply them. So our conscious mind is trying to put things together. But even more than that, we want to look at how this air is being used. And the particular sign we're in is Libra. And Libra is an air sign, which is why we're talking about the element of air. And in tarot cards, Libra is the card of justice. And the card of justice is a card that's all about balancing out. It's balancing things out. Balancing out our karma is one of the things. We hear what we put out, we get back. So the whole idea is learning how to balance things out, and that is the ultimate justice in our life. That as we learn to balance out our lives, we learn to do things that are not going to hurt us, and we learn to do the things that are going to help us. And so these are the things that we're learning. So we've got the air sign on top, trying to figure out a way of expression, of balance. And underneath, we've got another air sign, Gemini. It's gone completely from yesterday, where it was a void, of course, in between two signs. Now we're just in one, Gemini. Gemini, again, all about communication. In tarot cards, Gemini is the Lovers. The Lovers is about choices and discernment. So this communication, this action has to do with discernment. So underneath, our subconscious mind is dealing with air, but it's dealing with air and communication in terms of discerning one thing from another, to figure out one thing from another. And the best way is always to allow spirit to be the guiding force, because that allows us to see through all of the different situations, because we're dealing with masculine and feminine energy out there, and the way each one of these represents or interprets the air and how it's being used. So there's a lot of factors in play, and always the best choice is to allow spirit to have its say in the matter, because it really makes a big difference. All right, so that's what we're working with today. Air and air over the course of the weekend. Tomorrow is going to be in between two signs, between air and water. And then on Sunday, we're going to be in a water sign, Cancer. And then when we get back on Monday, we'll be back, we'll still be dealing with the water sign. Okay, so air for the moment. That's what we're dealing with now. And as we get towards into Sunday, then we'll start considering the water, the emotional aspect of things. All right, moving from the astrology on over to the Mayan Oracle here. If we can, here we go. Actually, the moon phase. The moon phase right here is 74% of the way full. Now we're on the waning moon. There's the waxing and the waning. Waxing is going up, waning is going down. So the waning happens from the full moon back down to the new moon. It's when the energy is decreasing. And if we use the moon as a guide when the moon energy is going up, use it as a time for your activities which require more use of energy. As the moon gets to the full moon and is going down, use your activities, that represent this type of action of the downward phase. And if you move with that, it's like the tides, in and out, in and out. So there's that. And then the Mayan Oracle. Okay, today we are at a 13-tone day. 13 tone is the last of the tones. There's only 13 tones in the system. 13th tone is called the cosmic tone. Here it's represented by the 13th position on the wave spell. This is the wave spell of the mirror. The last 13 days or 12 days have been all about the mirror. Today's no exception. And then from tomorrow we're going to jump onto another cycle, another wave spell of 13. Today is the dog, which is all about love. Dog's right here in the middle. So we've got cosmic, love, guided by endlessness. Or timelessness, excuse me. Cosmic love, guided by timelessness. Supporting cast members, you got the sun, which is the challenge for the day, the enlightenment, letting the light shine in our lives. We've got the moon, which is nurturing ourselves, rebirth, purification. And then the hidden power, or the occult kin, is the monkey, and the monkey is all about playfulness. Now, one thing about this position here, it's called the occult kin. Oh no, occult. It's that word. What does it mean? Simply means that which is hidden. If you hear other people try to tell you a cult is something bad, look at them and tell them, go look up the definition. A cult simply means that which is hidden, nothing more, nothing less. Okay, the phrase for today, because we take all of these and they make a phrase, and the phrase is I endure. That comes from the 13, the cosmic. I endure in order to love, transcending loyalty. I seal the process of heart with the cosmic tone of presence. I am guided by the power of timelessness. On the Gregorian calendar, it's the 5th of October, 2012. And just show you where we are here on the Zolkin. We are still right down the middle. And we're going to be in the middle when we get back after the weekend. So use this time. Use this as a time to connect and really just see what's going on all around you. Because when you're in this middle pillar right here, this middle column, it's like being in that central chamber where everything revolves around it. The first 6 columns and the last 6 columns are reflective of each other. The middle column isn't reflective of anything except itself. Everything moves all around it. And if you take this object and you move it from being a flat object to something that's more three-dimensional, then you can really kind of imagine this as being the middle with all of these revolving all around it in different ways. Okay? So there you have it. That's our cosmic weather. That's what we're dealing with today. So the very first piece I'm going to play for you today, if it pops back up, here we go. This is a piece that I have had questions about, and it's the question of, is Jesus and Michael the Archangel the same? The book of Urantia book is a book that talks about Michael, Christ Michael, and the Michaels, and the Bible talks about Jesus. But are these the same individuals that are being referred to? Both heroes from the Bible, both heroes from these books. So we need to understand a little bit more. And this is a really good talk about it. So I want you to listen to it and see what you think. It's only just a little over 10 minutes long. Check it out. I'll be back.
Hello everyone, my name is Robert King. This video is in response to a question regarding the identity of Michael the Archangel in the Bible and whether he is the same person as Jesus Christ, as Jehovah's Witnesses believe. Of course, that question arises from those who believe that Jesus is God, and so it doesn't fit with their theology, because obviously Michael the Archangel is an angel. Let me say this, starting off, that the Bible is not an easy book to understand. It's not for simpletons. It doesn't give simple, straightforward answers sometimes. And in some areas it's pretty straightforward. But the Apostle Paul said to the Hebrews that there were some things that were hard to understand and difficult to explain. And he said the untaught and the unsteady twist the scriptures to their own destruction. So we have to be willing and capable of using our God-given powers of reason to put things together that are not readily apparent. That's what having discernment and understanding means. So, in discussing this issue of Michael the Archangel, I would simply say, look at all the places in the Bible where it mentions the Archangel Michael, the great prince, and see what he's doing. And compare that with what we know the scriptures say is Christ's prerogative. Our first, let's consider in the book of Daniel. Daniel is basically a series of prophecies that have the same end result, and that is the establishment of God's kingdom. For example, in the 2nd chapter of Daniel, a great stone cut out of the mountain, and it crushes this image, and it said it will crush all these kingdoms, and it itself will stand forever. That's Christ's kingdom, obviously. In the 7th chapter of Daniel, There's a vision of this wild beast, and someone like a son of man conquers the beast. But before that, it says that someone like a son of man gained access to the Ancient of Days. And it says they brought him up close before that one. So obviously in that vision, the Son of Man is not God. He gains access to the Ancient of Days, to God. They bring him up close to the throne of God, and God gives him kingdom and power and authority, along with the holy ones. In the 8th chapter of Daniel, we're introduced to Michael. Well, actually, it doesn't say Michael, I'm sorry. We're introduced to the great prince. And in that vision, a beast conquers the holy ones and stands up against the prince of the army. And in the latter part of that chapter, it calls him the Prince of Princes. That is a reference to Jesus Christ. A prince being a son of a king. Jesus Christ is the Son of Jehovah. Elsewhere in Scripture, Jesus is referred to as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So Prince of Princes is a fitting title as well. Interestingly, though, Jehovah is referred to as the God of gods. That's not a title that he shares with Jesus. At any rate, in the 11th chapter of Daniel, another vision shows this struggle between the king of the north and the king of the south. And the king of the north comes all the way to his end. And during a time of great tribulation, like Jesus said would occur during the conclusion of the system of things, and Daniel makes mention that this occurs in the time of the end, the king of the north comes all the way to his end, and then Michael, the great prince, who is standing on behalf of the sons of you people, will stand up. So where is Jesus in this? Throughout Daniel, it's fairly well established that Son of Man is Jesus Christ. He's the Prince of Princes. And yet in the 11th chapter of Daniel, the prophecy concludes with Michael, the great prince, standing up. And he's standing not in behalf of the sons of Israel, because this is during the time of the Great Tribulation, when Jesus said he would command his angels, and they will go forth and collect the chosen ones from the four corners of the earth. So obviously, this great prince, Michael, is doing the work of Jesus Christ. In the book of Revelation, a great war breaks out in heaven. And it says, Michael and his angels battled with the dragon, being the devil, and his angels. Now, I would ask you to reason. Where is Jesus in that picture? Michael and his angels? Going back to Daniel in the 8th chapter, the prince, it refers to the prince of the army of angels. And then we get the same language in Revelation, Michael and his angels, an army of angels. Again, where is Jesus in that picture? Because in the 19th chapter of Revelation, we have a vision of the Word coming out of heaven. That's a clear reference to Jesus Christ. And following behind him is an army of angels, like a cavalry, riding into battle. Obviously, Michael, Jesus, both leading angels, armies of angels. Why wouldn't we conclude that they are the same person? Jesus Christ, in reference to the resurrection, he said that there are those in the memorial tombs who will hear my voice and come out. And in Thessalonians, Paul referred to Jesus Christ descending with God's trumpet and the voice of an archangel. And he commands the dead to arise in the first resurrection. It doesn't say he's Michael, but it says he has the commanding voice of an archangel. So here we again, Jesus is the one authorized to do the resurrection of the dead. And yet he has the voice of an archangel. Again, Jesus Christ is the one who is going to destroy the devil. Because going back to Genesis 3:15, got to make sure I keep this under 10 minutes. going back to Genesis 3:15, the seed of the woman is bruised in the heel by the devil. That is a reference to the death of Jesus Christ. It was like a heel wound because he recovered from it, because God resurrected him. But then the recovered seed of the woman will bruise the head of the serpent. A head wound is mortal, fatal. So Jesus Christ is authorized to destroy the devil because the devil killed him and made him suffer. Perfect justice. And yet, why is Michael leading his angels to fight the devil? And then in the 20th chapter of Revelation, when Satan is finally confined and thrown into the abyss, the Bible says a strong angel did this. An angel with a chain bound Satan. Why is this angel doing what Jesus is going to do? Jesus is an angel, the foremost angel. Well, some may object, saying in the book of Jude there's a reference to Michael the Archangel, and it said when Michael the Archangel was having a dispute with the devil regarding Moses' body, he did not bring an accusation against the devil in abusive terms, but said, may God rebuke you. And some point to that and say, see, this character Michael did not have authority over the devil, which Jesus does. But that reasoning is flawed. And the reason it is flawed is because before Christ came to the earth, he did not have all authority. So we're talking about the 1,500 years before Christ. That's when Moses was alive, and that's when Michael the Archangel, the great prince who's standing on behalf of the sons of your people, as Daniel was told, was having this dispute with the devil. But when Jesus was on the earth, what did he say? All authority has been given me in heaven and on earth. It was given him by God at that time, and particularly after his resurrection. After he proved faithful, then he was exalted to a superior position. That's what the Bible says in Philippians, 2 Philippians. So Christ was given more authority, and now he is in position to vanquish the devil. And yet the scriptures show that Michael is the one doing the vanquishing. So that's the line of reasoning that we would use to arrive at the conclusion that Jesus Christ and Michael the Archangel are one and the same person. I'd be glad to talk more about this Jesus is God theology, but 10 minutes is not adequate. So, thank you.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. This is UFO News for today. And I've got 5 stories. Yep, 5 stories indeed. Story number 1 comes to us from Australia, and this one here, this is one of the longer type of objects. Point of reference where it is. Okay. Alright, it says that this week on Sunrise Morning TV show in Australia, they had a short chat about a UFO that was seen over Queensland Town, Australia. The UFO is a cigar shape. Its glowing white color stands out in the darkness of the night. The location is very close to the ocean and may be linked to an underwater alien base in the area. Alright, so we're going to be checking out this area here. And let's see if this commercial has come to an end. It has. Let's hear what's going on.
His wife saw strange lights at night. That's what we're looking at. The video records 2 stars in the top left-hand corner. Then black grainy vision is something that cannot be identified. So is that a UFO?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
It can't be. It is unidentified.
unidentified flying object.
So if you don't know what it is,
that's
put it in the basket.
Doesn't mean there's little green men on board, though.
Just no one can identify it.
Yeah.
So that's nowhere near Brompton in South Australia. The IGA we talked about the other morning.
Yeah.
They move fast.
They bought their roll-ups and they're out of there.
Exactly right. Zoom.
Okay, so there you go. That's the first one. All right, next one we're going to move over to. This one is in Guadalajara, Mexico. Took place on the 1st. Now, this is a whole grouping of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them there. 2, 4, 6, 7 of them there. Same amount. Okay, this fleet of glowing orbs was seen in the capital city of Guadalajara, Mexico this week. We can even see the lightning coming down near it, possibly being caused by the UFOs themselves. Okay. So, there we go, on the bottom of the screen there, not that. There's the object in question. And the question is, what is going to happen? Let's see if it captures the lightning. There we go, there's the lightning there near the ship. Let me back that up again. Alright, lightning by the ship. Didn't hit it, but close by. Okay. So you have it. That's the sighting over Guadalajara. Pretty good sighting indeed. Okay, moving right along from here. East Lansing witness reports hovering triangle of white light. Alright, there's what we're going to be looking at there. Goes on to say 2 Michigan witnesses at East Lansing report watching a hovering triangle of white light and a blinking center red light about 11:33 p.m. on October 2nd, 2012, according to testimony from the Mutual UFO Witness Reporting Database. The 2 friends had just gotten off the freeway from Shaftesbury and were approaching McDonald's restaurant on March Road in East Lansing. They stopped at a red light. There was a bright light in the sky above McDonald's, but we didn't immediately think anything of it, the reporting witness stated. Even points out that I said it looks weird. I asked if there was a tower in that area, but still, even so, the light is too bright. It's a triangle of 3 white lights, and that's all that appears at first. They moved towards the second red light. Still stopped, observing the light. About 15 seconds, we noticed the object that ascends about 100 to 200 feet. It then moves to the right of our vantage point, heading northwest from its position. As the object passes by, I rolled down the windows for a better look, appeared low, and we hardly heard a slight hum. If anything, other cars were present. Then a much smaller, blinking red light appeared on the bottom. It blinked just like a plain light would, repetitively and even timing. It kept moving to our right until eventually it had gone by some trees and out of sight. Okay, so you have it. Triangular object seen by these witnesses in Michigan. From here, we're going to go over to St. Petersburg, Russia. 5 bright points in the celestial space, which recorded last night near Fontanka in the south of St. Petersburg, do not apply to military installations in the western. Okay, so there we have a whole grouping of them. This is a good old grouping now. Are these all part of one large ship? If so, it's one very big ship, or this is a formation. Maybe these are part of one ship and there's 2 out here. Don't know. Just know that there's a big group of 5. Okay. And our very last sighting for today, or report today, this is about the Baltic Sea UFO. Okay, we haven't talked about this in a while. This is a little update. It says, when an unusual object first found at the bottom of the Baltic Sea, many thought that it could be a UFO that crashed into the sea between Finland and Sweden. Some even described the similar object similar to the Millennium Falcon from the movie Star Wars. Despite wide speculation about the object, hardly any media referred to the object as UFO. This could be a relief because no single evidence was discovered to conclude that it was an unidentified flying object. The origin of this anomaly puzzled most experts, and some asked if this could be part of a Nazi secret anti-submarine device. Anders Autalis, a retired Swedish submarine officer, speculated the object deep in the ocean could be a structure utilized during World War II to purportedly block submarine signals of British and Russia, according to a Russian newspaper, Pravda. Artius mentioned in Swedish newspaper Expressen the large concrete structures were used as traps by Germans to give Soviet submarines difficulty in navigating in the Gulf of Finland during the war. These unique and huge steel structures reportedly designed to cause problems on the submarine signal after radar. Just this year, divers of the June expedition at the bottom of the Baltic Sea reported malfunctions of their equipment when they were near the object or formation, but no concrete evidence that the anomaly is the reason. So no one can prove that the object is a Nazi-related or just a simple glacial deposit formed on the seafloor. The whole Baltic Sea thing started in June 2011 when the captain of the ocean explorer Peter Lindbergh, together with his co-researcher Dennis Asberg, discovered something strange 300 feet below the surface of the sea using side-scan sonar. When the report first came out about the circular object measuring 200 feet wide, it made headlines, especially since it looked like a spacecraft in the movie Star Wars. Lindbergh and Asberg returned to the site a year after to explore further the anomaly and to take a closer look. They were interested in the cause of the viral stir, which could be a sonar glitches, a sunken ship of Russia, stone outcroppings, or a spaceship from extraterrestrials. Videos and pictures of the objects were taken, and many described it just like a giant mushroom. Samples were taken on the surface for further examination. Some of the materials were reportedly given to geology associate professor at Stockholm University, Volker Bruckert. However, Lindbergh and Asberg have said that the samples they have been given were not from the anomaly but from items around the object. Contributing to let another mysterious aspect of the entire Baltic Sea issue is the description given by Lindbergh recently in an interview wherein he mentioned that the object has very unusual, strange stair formations. He added that if the formations were constructed, they must have been created thousands of years before the Ice Age. Alright, now we do have a video over here. You can check it out. Let me go ahead and get the volume for you here.
Yes, more in detail and then get the whole picture of it.
Stockholm Radio, Stockholm Radio, Stockholm Radio. This is Anslus, Sierra Delta Mike Romeo, channel 25, over.
My initial reaction when the circle turned up on the monitor was, hey guys, here we have a UFO.
Can you give us the direction so we can find it with the ROVs?
I could say that it's not a wreck. I haven't seen anything like this before.
Over a big rock, all of a sudden you see no stones, but then all of a sudden you see 25 stones.
In a ring?
In a ring. Strange things on the water.
What I think is most intriguing so far is the round hole, like 20 centimeters in diameter, which we have a very, very short ROV film of. And it would be very, very interesting to find out what it is.
Alright, there you go. That's our UFO news for today. Let me jump away to a song. I'll be back.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
Okay, continuing on. First thing I'm going to play here, next up, is Ron Paul. Now, Ron Paul, well, you know all about Ron Paul. He's presidential candidate. You're going to have to decide what you're going to do when it comes for the election. Are you going to write him in, or are you just going to follow the way that you're told to think by the media and pick one of the two clowns that you're supposed to pick from? Anyway, Ron Paul's been out there. In my opinion, I think he's the only one who's speaking truthfulness to the American people, and that is why he's not included in all of this, because what I've learned firsthand from being there and seeing is something that I've known for a long while, and that's all of this stuff is rigged. And it doesn't really matter what the people think or say or what have you. Powers that be have their plans, and if you don't fit into them, well, they find a way to keep you out of the picture. Exactly what they've done with Dr. Paul. So let's listen to a little bit to what he said. This is a 40-minute speech. I'm only going to play the first couple minutes for you. Here we go.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's so nice to see you. I thought you'd be all worn out from the campaign, but great to see you here. The campaign continues. Campaigning for liberty will last a long time. But somebody that campaigns with me and has for a long time is my wife Carol, sitting over here. But it is a delight to see an enthusiastic crowd. I'm delighted you're here tonight and this week and being involved in Campaign for Liberty. Because in many ways, that's what all of us are doing. And in many ways, I've done it for a few years. And since we started this organization 4 years ago, I guess, I got to name it. And I thought, well, why don't we call it something that I've been doing? Campaign for Liberty. That's what we'll call it. That is it. So that type of campaign goes on for a long time until we win. And since the world is imperfect, we'll never have perfect liberty. But if we don't campaign for liberty, the other side is going to keep campaigning for statism and big government, and they are our enemy, and we must stop them. Probably the best success we've had with the Campaign for Liberty has been the grassroots effort the Campaign for Liberty has done on making sure that we got the bill at least past the House of Representatives to audit the Federal Reserve System. But not only that, of getting the legislation passed in the House, and who knows, we might still get the rest of it done in the Senate, but we don't know. But the more important thing is calling attention to the American people the issue of monetary policy. They're never going to put that back in the bottle, let me tell you. People know now the importance of monetary policy and the Federal Reserve. Thank you for all your hard work and effort on that.
Okay, I'm going to continue on because there's still more to do. So this link will be available for you so you can watch this. Now, moving right along, the next one here is this again. It's a piece dealing with Dr. Paul, but the question they're going to ask him is, who is he going to be voting for? So if you're a Ron Paul supporter, if you have supported this man, if you have listened to what he said, listen here, because they're going to try to pin him down. But even at this time, he still isn't going to make a commitment to one of the clowns that they want to put out there. So check this out. Here we go.
Ron Paul now, Republican congressman from Texas, and of course a former presidential candidate himself. He's calling in today on the telephone from Texas. Congressman Paul, always good to talk to you. If a Paul supporter is watching the debate tonight and needs to be convinced by Mitt Romney, what does Romney have to do you think?
Make sure he sounds a little bit different than the other and be convincing that his policies are a lot different. So many people that have joined the freedom movement were frustrated, with the whole process because they can't see enough difference. So he has to be different. But unfortunately, when it comes to whether it's the foreign policy, they're very similar, or whether it has to do with the Federal Reserve, it's similar. So I think our supporters see too much similarity. And I think he has to show that he is quite different, just not on management style, but really philosophically. That's what so many people are looking for.
How do you think those supporters who had a lot of enthusiasm for you in the primaries when you run for president, how do you think they'll break down in terms of their support in this election? I mean, is it 80-20 Romney? Is it closer to 50-50? I mean, who do you think they'll move towards?
I think the best word is break down. They'll probably go different places. Some will be angry at the Republicans for the way they were treated at the convention, and they might not show up. Some may vote Libertarian. Some, may go with Romney. There's actually some of the young people, because of foreign policy issue, might even go with Obama. So it's hard to say. I know one thing for certain. That they're not all going to the one place because they're very individualistic and they don't see the consequences exactly the same. So I think it would be very difficult to predict. Could be a big deal, by the way, in especially some of these swing states if they don't show up. Who are you going to vote for? Haven't decided yet. At least I haven't decided. I've decided not to announce it. So no, I'm going to sort of sit tight for a little bit longer. No, that's fine if you don't want to announce it, obviously. And some people have made a big deal about how how you haven't endorsed Romney. But have you really not decided, or you're just not going to tell us? in a way about voting for somebody, I obviously didn't, I haven't announced in support for Romney, so that means that's very unlikely, and I don't think anybody thinks I'm going to vote for Obama. So it's back to that frustration level of not seeing a dramatic choice in the way the system works, and the inability. Like tonight, there's a debate going on. And if you come to this conclusion that the candidates aren't all that different, why do we have to just listen to two of them? I mean, there are other people who, technically are capable of winning because they're on a lot of ballots.
Like Gary Johnson, you're talking about.
Yeah, and in this country, you have probably less democracy than in even some of these other countries that we're trying to badger into being good, followed good democracy.
So you'll vote for him then, probably.
Pardon me?
Gary Johnson, you'd probably support him.
I haven't decided that, no.
It's interesting. Is there anything, but let me ask you one more question before I let you go, because we have all this talk about the undecided voters out there. I think Reuters said it's about 6% of the electorate, and the different polls say different things. Is there something, as you said, you're not going to vote for the president, is there something that Mitt Romney could still do at this late hour to convince you, Ron Paul, to support him?
Bring the troops home, and quit this preaching of a foreign policy where he wants to expand our presence overseas, and that's a big thing with especially the young people that have been in the freedom movement. So the foreign policy would have to change, and he'd have to give more than token support for a token audit of the Federal Reserve. He'd have to say, well, there's something wrong with central banking and economic planning, because that is the reason we have such difficulty in the economy because of Federal Reserve policy. So likelihood of hearing this is very, very, very slim. And maybe saying, how would you balance a budget? And during our campaign, we had a precise plan of cutting $1 trillion and balancing the budget in 3 years. But, we're in this horrendous crisis, and neither one of them are going to say anything, oh, well, maybe we ought to cut something. There's no proposal to cut any actual money. It's always this tinkering around with these massive automatic increases, and the American people are starting to wake up and realize that it's all fiction and that they're not serious.
All right, Congress.
All right, so there you go. So if you're wondering what Dr. Paul's going to do, that is his up-to-date answer. Now, this National Defense Authorization Act, here's some more information. Sobering, latest motion, NDAA military detention is martial law. The latest motion to fight Obama's NDAA detention of U.S. citizens provides a sobering picture of what corporate media is blacking out. Okay, so let's see here. It says that NDAA detention, mandatory Supreme Court jurisprudence. Goes on to say, let's see. NDAA detention is martial law. If you have any doubt that Obama continues to fight tooth and nail for the right to indefinitely detain citizens captured on U.S. soil because perhaps the media hasn't reported on it, or the limited reporting you have read from the corporate media has spun the truth regarding the latest motion filed by the plaintiff's case, sent chilling spines down your spine. Point by point, the motion counters Obama's latest motion, which the courts agree with, and granted him the right to continue to impose military detention on U.S. citizens pending a hearing by the district courts. It's basically Obama wins the right to indefinitely detain Americans. So, we talked a little bit about this. This is another article. There, the link will be available so you can check it out. But this man is not our friend. If you think this man is a friend of America, then I don't know who you and what kind of person you consider friends. Because if you consider this man a friend and he wants to indefinitely detain you, then that's not the kind of friend that I could imagine would be helpful to anybody. Moving on. Now, here we go. The election's coming up, and check this out. Networks, AP, cancel, exit polls in 19 states. Breaking from 2 decades of tradition, this year's election's exit poll is set to include surveys of voters in 31 states, not all 50, as it has been in the past 5 presidential elections. according to multiple people involved in the planning. Well, there you go. Cheating, corruption. They don't want you to know, because when people watch, they think. And when people think, well, people can figure things out. And they say, wait a minute, these exit poll numbers don't match with the final results. You got the entrance polls, you got the exit polls. What went on in between? Because things aren't matching up. That's what people have found out from state to state along the way with these caucuses and these primaries. And now as we're getting closer, the rats are trying to make it even more difficult for people to be part of the process by closing off things. You can't guess. So more and more, folks, these elections, they're a closed private event. They have nothing to do with you, the people, even though the public outcome has everything to do with the people because the person selected. But these events have absolutely nothing to do with you. And if you think you do, and if you think they do, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but they don't. They don't care in this government about you. If they did, you wouldn't hear the nonsense that comes out of their mouths. Listen to the words that they say. Think of the things Nancy Pelosi has said, or Joe Biden, or Obama. Just think of the nonsense that has come out of their mouth. Think out of the nonsense that comes out of the mouth of the Republicans, the media. It's all one big scam against the American people, and unless people step up, they're going to keep getting fooled. All right, I'm going to skip this here. Moving right along. Two final stories here. This one I found to be somewhat of a good news story. Remember the Texas cheerleaders? You might have heard this. Texas cheerleaders had Bible verses, and then they said they couldn't use them because well, here, let me read it. Texas is a cheerleading East Texas town that worships two things. God and football are now fighting back after the Bible verses they painted on banners to display the games were banned. The cheerleading squad at Coons High School just north of Beaumont, Texas, would show their support for the team and also display their religious beliefs by painting Bible verses on the banners players run through before every game. We just wanted to encourage the boys, one cheerleader said. Well, the banners apparently offended somebody. So let's go on. Let's see here. Ultimately, the school superintendent forced the cheerleaders to stop using scripture on the banners. That was when the squad members put down their pom-poms and pick up the phone, calling attorney David Starnes, who argues that the banners are not school-sponsored. It was student-led, student-initiated, Starnes said. The girls came up with the idea looking at the social networking website Pinterest, where they saw that cheerleaders in Georgia had done the same thing with their banners a few years ago. Those were banned by their school too. The community is now cheering for the cheerleaders with signs of support and online. The Facebook page is dedicated to the fight. Now nearly has 50,000 followers, which is 25 times more people than live in the town of 2,000. Kiara Moffett, cheerleader at Cones High School, said that she believes this is about freedom of expression. They have the right to say whatever they want, she said, but it's our religion, and we want to portray that. So, good. Good for the girls for standing up and fighting, because no one out there should ban anybody from speaking about God and saying things about God. And hey, the players I saw, they said that they felt good. They ran through this. They felt it was a little protection for them. So good. Let them feel protected. That's great. Here's an idea for the cheerleaders. How about this? Since there's some people that are offended by the verses, continue to write the verses on the banners, but turn the banners around, so that the football players will be the only ones to see them. That way, when they run through, they will benefit from feeling the protection and feeling the good vibes of going through. And the people in the audience, that are offended. But then again, you shouldn't have to turn it around, because there's people in the audience who love God as well and would want to be able to see those. So I see the issue. It's a touchy issue. But I'm glad to hear that the girls are fighting back, and, we'll see how that one turns out. Okay, last story here. This is Mayan tomb was discovered. Mayan tomb may belong to warrior queen. Archaeologists say that they've discovered what could be the tomb of one of the greatest Mayan rulers, the 7th century queen, Lady Cabal. The tomb was revealed during digging of the ancient Mayan city of El Peruaca in the rainforest of southern Guatemala. Alongside the body, excavators found a white jar shaped like a conch shell with the head and arm of a woman carved at the opening. The artifact had 4 hieroglyphs that suggest it belonged to Cabal. Nothing is ever proven in archaeology because we're working with circumstantial evidence. But in our case, we have a carved stone alabaster jar that is named Cabal's possession. David Friedel, an archaeologist working on the site, explained in a video. Friedel of Washington State University said the find is as close to a smoking gun as you get in archaeology. The plaza, palaces, temple pyramids, and residences of Alpuruwaka belonged to the classic Maya civilization. Cabal was part of a royal family and carried the title Kalomti, which translates to supreme warrior, meaning that she had even higher authority than the king husband, Kinich Balam. According to the Friedel and the excavation team, Cabal is believed to have reigned with him from about 672 to 692 AD. Okay, so there you have it. So, latest find. Alright, things are progressing along, hearing more about the Mayans as time goes. Just think what else will be revealed to us. Think what else is going to be revealed to us over the period of time. Now, as far as the Mayan calendar goes, as far as December 21st, 2012, 77 days. 77 days till we get to that time period. So as we get there, we want to make sure that we are attentive to what is going on. We want to make sure that the nature, the warrior nature of who we are, is kicked in gear. And when I say the warrior nature, I'm not talking about going out and starting fights with others, but I'm talking about warrior of the light. So close your eyes, relax, and let us continue. The warrior of the light has learned that God uses solitude to teach us how to live with other people. He uses his rage to use the infinite value, to show us the infinite value of peace. He uses boredom to underline the importance of adventure and spontaneity. God uses silence to teach us to use words responsibly. He uses tiredness so that we can understand the value of waking up. He uses illness to understand the blessings of good health. God uses fire to teach us about water. He uses earth to explain the value of air. He uses death to show us the importance of life. The warrior of the light gives before he is asked. Seeing this, some of his companions say, if someone wants something, they'll ask for it. But the warrior knows that there are many people who simply cannot bring themselves to ask for help. Alongside him live people with such fragile hearts that love becomes a sickness. They are starving for affection and yet are ashamed to show it. The warrior gathered these people around the fire. He tells them stories, shares his food, drinks with them. The following day, everyone feels better. Those who look on other people's misery with indifference are the most miserable at all. If the strings of an instrument are always taut, they go out of tune. The warriors who spend all their time training lose their spontaneity in battle. Horses that are always jumping fences end up breaking a leg. Bows that are bent all day no longer shoot straight with the same force. That is why, even if he is not in the mood, the warrior of light tries to enjoy the small, everyday things of life. The warrior of the light listens to Lao Tse when he says that we should let go of the idea of days and hours in order to pay more attention to the moment. Only in this way can the warrior resolve certain problems before they occur. By focusing on small things, he manages to avoid larger calamities. But thinking about the small things is not the same as thinking small. Over-anxiety ultimately banishes every trace of joy from life. The warrior knows that a great dream is made up of many different things, just as light from the sun is the sum of its millions of rays. There are times when the warrior's path becomes merely routine. Then he applies the teaching of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. If you cannot meditate, you should repeat one simple word, because this is good for the soul. Do not say anything else, just repeat that word over and over. Innumerable times, Finally, it will lose all meaning, but take on an entirely new significance. God will open the doors, and you will find yourself using the simple word to say everything you wanted to say. When he is forced to perform the same task several times, the warrior uses this tactic and transforms work into prayer. A warrior of the light has no certainties. He just has a path to follow, a path to which he tries to adapt depending on the season. During battles that take place in summer, he does not use the same equipment and techniques that he would use during battles that take place in winter. By being flexible, he no longer judges the world on the basis of right and wrong, but on the basis of the most appropriate attitude for the particular movement. He knows that his companions also have to adapt, and is not surprised when they change their attitude. He gives each one the necessary time to justify his actions, but when it comes to treachery, he is implacable. Take a deep breath. Exhale. And just allow all of these qualities of the warrior to absorb into you. Allow all of the qualities that we've talked about and read all week to be awakened inside of you. And as they are awakened, you realize that they are qualities that exist and have existed. You just need to practice using them again. Imagine all of your chakras are activated from the bottom of the spine upward. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and indigo. Allow your body to feel all of this multicolored light flowing through it. Allow that light to overflow. Forms a light of protection around your body. The light which then expands outward into your room, to the city, state, country, and finally across the sea to the other countries around the world. Now, as you go into this weekend, just contemplate the changes that are taking place in life. 77 days and counting until we arrive at December 21st, 2012. 77 days of continual change before we arrive at that end date. What changes will take place these next 77 days? Open your heart to be prepared for whatever that might be. Now let's think a good thought for everyone in the world, and with that we'll bring our energy and attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. All right. We made it through another week, my friends. Thanks for being here. Have a great weekend. I'll be back Monday. We'll get together with some more news and information. Be safe. Enjoy the weekend. Go look at the sky. See what's going on out there with the planets and the stars. Remember, we only have 77 more days, so there's going to be changes taking place, but they're not all physical. Some of them are more subtle changes, so spend some time sitting, closing your eyes, doing some meditations. See how the energy is hitting you, and you'll be amazed at what you feel. I'll be back next week. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.